What if I told you that before every miracle, Jesus used the same technique, and that understanding this could change the course of your life today? And what if this technique wasn't lost to time, but is accessible to you right now, and that the way you grasp it could completely alter your story? You may have never noticed, but the way Jesus prepared himself before acting reveals a profound secret, hidden between the lines of the Bible, connecting the spiritual world, manifestation, and even what we now call the law of attraction. Here's the intriguing part. It wasn't magic, it wasn't chance, it wasn't luck. It was a state of awareness, a consciousness so elevated that by attuning to the source, it made the impossible happen before everyone's eyes. Have you ever stopped to think if you are preparing yourself in the right way to receive what you ask for? Could it be that your miracle is delayed precisely because you are ignoring this essential step? The truth is, many seek results without understanding the inner preparation required. They ask, but they doubt. They desire, but they sabotage themselves. Jesus, on the other hand, had a method. And throughout this video, you will understand how this technique not only worked back then, but how it remains alive and effective today. And the final revelation I will share is the most powerful of all. Perhaps you've tried everything, prayers, decrees, affirmations, and still felt that something was missing. This is where the part that almost no one tells you comes in, the connection before the manifestation. What if I told you there's a simple adjustment that can completely change the picture, a detail that can turn closed doors into open opportunities? Over the next few minutes, I will guide you to understand how Jesus aligned his energy, his faith, and his word to create miracles. This isn't about complicated theology or magic formulas. It's a deep understanding of how the spiritual and the physical merge. And before we move on to the first revelation, I want to invite you. If you are committed to making space for the new and wish to transform how you manifest blessings in your life, I've left something special for you in the first pinned comment. It's something that will accelerate this understanding and help you apply it all in a practical way. Now, stay with me, because as each piece is revealed, you will realize that what seemed distant, almost untouchable, is much closer than you imagine. And at the end, when I give you the final revelation, the most powerful one, you will understand why so many spend their lives asking for miracles and why so few actually experience them. What impresses me most about the way Jesus acted before each miracle is not just the act itself, but the invisible preparation that took place beforehand. There is something silent, almost imperceptible to human eyes, but which carried an extraordinary force. Before multiplying loaves, healing the sick, calming storms, or raising the dead, there was a moment that few observe. The instant he aligned himself with the source, with the Father. Notice that the Bible records in different passages that Jesus would withdraw to pray, would remain in silence, or would simply look to heaven and give thanks. This was not a random detail, it was an essential part of the process. And here is the key that many ignore. Before manifesting in the physical world, Jesus adjusted his energy, his vibration, and his state of consciousness. He did not act from anxiety, but from certainty. Perhaps this is where many of us fail. We want the miracle to happen so that we can then believe. But Jesus believed first. He declared it first. He already saw the manifestation happening within him before anyone could see it on the outside. And this is exactly what the law of attraction teaches. You manifest that which already exists as a truth within you. Stop for a moment and reflect. How many times have you prayed for something only to end your prayer full of doubt? How many times have you asked and, on the same day, already started to question if it would work out? Jesus didn't operate that way. He knew that manifestation begins in the unseen realm and only then materializes. Look at the moment of the multiplication of the loaves. Before anything else, he took the loaves, looked to heaven, and gave thanks. This is much more profound than it seems. He wasn't just asking for help from the Father. He was acknowledging that abundance was already there. The act of giving thanks before seeing the result is one of the most powerful tools of manifestation. And here's a crucial point for you. As long as you remain vibrating in lack, fear, or anxiety, you block the flow of the miracle. Jesus, on the contrary, accessed a state of gratitude and certainty, even when there was apparent scarcity all around. And this internal shift is what creates the opening for the result to emerge. When he healed, for example, notice how his posture was always firm, secure, and confident. He didn't repeat the healing over and over to force it to happen. He would say, "Get up and walk," or "Be clean," and then move on. This reveals that even before speaking the word, he had already connected to the certainty that it was possible. And perhaps this is the hardest part for us today, to remain firm in faith when everything around us seems to say the opposite. This is where the secret technique comes in, and I want you to start applying it now. Jesus did not look at circumstances as proof of reality. He looked at his inner connection as proof that reality could change. Now think with me. How many times are you so caught up in what you see that you can't believe in what you don't see? Jesus knew that everything visible was born from the invisible. Therefore, before each miracle, he would immerse himself in the invisible, in prayer, in communion with the Father, in inner connection. This preparation is not just spiritual, it is also emotional and mental. It's like tuning an instrument before playing. You don't pick up an out-of-tune violin and expect the music to come out perfectly. Likewise, you don't enter a situation of manifestation with your mind and emotions misaligned and expect the result to be harmonious. And this is where I want to challenge you. What has been your posture before asking for something? Do you tune into certainty, or do you waver between believing and doubting? This is the point that Jesus mastered. He remained in constant alignment. If you are with me so far, it's because you feel there is something deeper that you may not have fully applied yet. And to help you dive deeper into this alignment, I have left something special in the first pinned comment. It's something that will help you turn this understanding into practice, simply but powerfully. Now, let's move forward. There is another detail in Jesus' technique that few people notice. He always acted from a place of love and compassion. And you might ask, but what does that have to do with manifestation? The answer is everything. Love and compassion raise your vibration. Jesus did not connect with scarcity, doubt, or fear, but with the abundance of love. When you connect to this frequency, you get closer to the frequency of miracles. Remember the moment he wept at the death of Lazarus, yet still said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." He wept, but he did not stop believing. This shows us that feeling human emotions does not block a miracle as long as faith remains firm. You can feel sadness, pain, or fear, but you cannot let these feelings take control of your inner state. And here is the third part of this secret preparation. Jesus spoke the word. He didn't just think it, he declared it. And his words were not random. They were charged with intention and faith. When he said, "Arise," that word already carried the energy of manifestation. It is what Proverbs teaches us. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Now think about how much this applies to your daily life. How many times do you say, "This will never work. I can't do it. My life is hard"? Each of these phrases carries a weight. And if Jesus used his words to create miracles, why do we insist on using ours to create limitations? The secret technique is, in fact, a combination: connection with the source, emotional alignment, advanced gratitude, love as a frequency, and intentional words. All of this creates an energy field capable of attracting manifestation in the physical world. And you might be thinking, but does this work today? The answer is yes. It works because spiritual principles do not age. Quantum physics, in a way, already explains what Jesus practiced. The observer influences reality, energy follows attention, and what you hold in your consciousness tends to materialize. Now I ask you, if Jesus in every miracle followed this same pattern, Why don't we, who desire to experience miracles, apply the same technique? Perhaps because we were never taught to see what is behind the story. We are amazed by the result and forget to observe the process. In the rest of this video, I want you to pay attention to every detail, because, in the end, I will show you the final revelation, the one that connects everything and that can make you understand why your miracles may not have manifested yet. We have reached the most important moment. And I want you to realize something. Everything we have talked about so far builds a path that is not just theoretical, not just inspiration. It is applied spiritual practice, just as Jesus applied it. Now, I promised you that the final revelation would be the most powerful of all, and here it is. Jesus did not just connect to the Father, did not just give thanks, did not just speak words charged with intention. He placed himself in a state where the miracle was already a reality for him. In other words, before any visible manifestation, Jesus was already living internally what was about to happen. When he said, "I thank you, Father, for you have heard me," he was acknowledging that there was no distance between the request and the answer. He did not ask as one who hopes. He asked as one who knows. And that is the difference between wishing and manifesting. Perhaps this is the key that is missing in your life today. You have been wishing, but you still see what you want as something distant, something that might happen one day. Jesus did not live on that frequency. For him, the miracle was not in the future. It was present, and that changes everything. Now imagine applying this to your life. Imagine not just praying for a new job, but positioning yourself as if you were already in it. Not just asking for healing, but living as if your body were already healthy. Not just dreaming of a restored relationship, but acting as someone who is already living that restoration. This isn't pretending. It's not self-deception. It is aligning your inner self with the reality you want to manifest. And that is exactly how the law of attraction works. You attract that which is already true within you. And here is the deepest part. Jesus understood that the physical world is shaped by the spiritual. He knew that circumstances were not fixed, that reality could be transformed from what is aligned with the Father's will. That is why he did not act out of fear of appearances. Look at the episode of the storm. The disciples were terrified, believing they were going to die. But Jesus, at peace, was sleeping in the boat. When they woke him, he did not react with desperation. He simply said, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased. Why? Because within him there was already calm. He did not try to create peace on the sea from inner chaos. He brought peace from the inside out. And this is exactly where many of us go wrong. We try to solve external problems from a turbulent heart. But no miracle is born from fear. A miracle is born from certainty. Now I want you to reflect deeply. What is the storm you are facing today? And what is the inner state you are nurturing? Because the secret technique of Jesus is not a set of magic steps. It is a constant state of alignment with peace, certainty, and love. This is where the final revelation fits in. Jesus did not act on his own. He said, "The Son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his Father doing." This means that, before any action, he sought to reflect the will and nature of the Father. He became a channel. And to be a channel means to let go of control. It means to stop trying to manipulate the outcome and instead to trust the process. This is the part that most challenges our human mind, because we want to know when, how, and in what way things will happen. But the faith that manifests miracles is the one that rests in the certainty that it is already done. Maybe you need to hear this today. The miracle does not depend on how much you force it, but on how much you trust. Jesus did not worry about the how of things. He just maintained the alignment. And I know this can be uncomfortable, because letting go of control also means giving up rigid expectations. But this is where life begins to surprise you. This is where doors open in unexpected ways. This is where circumstances change without you needing to force every detail. Now, I want to ask you something. Allow yourself to live in this state. Allow yourself to experience, even today, this inner peace before you even see the miracle happen. Stop for a moment and feel, if it were already resolved, how would you be feeling right now? Hold on to that feeling. That is the starting point for manifestation. And remember, Jesus did not teach this technique for it to be restricted to him. He said, "Whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these." This means that you too can experience miracles. The only question is, are you willing to enter into this alignment? If you have come this far, it is because there is a calling within you to live differently. And I want to reinforce, in the first pinned comment, I have left something special to help you deepen this journey and put this alignment into practice. Before we finish, I want you to hold an image in your mind. Jesus, in the face of any challenge, did not get agitated. He withdrew, connected, gave thanks, and declared. And then the miracle happened. This is how you should act from now on. Because your storm may be raging, but within you, there can be calm. And from that calm, the solution will be born. Now I want you to make a decision. To live reacting to circumstances, or to live creating circumstances from alignment with the source. The choice is yours. But know this, the secret technique that Jesus used still works today, and you can apply it starting this very moment. If this video spoke to you, if it touched you in some way, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear this, because miracles are not isolated events, they are states of consciousness, and the next miracle can begin right now, inside of you.